So yeah, let's begin. So yeah, guys, welcome to our today's session. So the next upcoming 4 days, like including today's, it will be going to be a 5 days full-on Python bootcamp. We'll be having a look onto the practicality of wholesome Python. But सिर्फ जानना जरूरी नहीं है. I hope I am okay with like using in English. But yeah, most of the conversation will be done in English only. So why Python? Why one should go into Python? This is also a very important question that one must go through if they are opting a language which is Python. So we'll be covering everything from zero to hero. It's like full on journey we'll be covering in our upcoming 5 days. So you all must have heard about Python, but it's always a query, a huge confusion like from where to learn, how to start, from whom to get mentorship, from whom to get the guidance. Like it's a whole set and whole bunch of confusion around. We aren't aware that kiske paas hum jaye, to whom we should go first. So today and like in the upcoming 5 days, of course, I am here. So keeping all the queries in our mind, we are here. I am here with your complete Python tutorial, with your complete hands-on Python. We'll be having a look onto all the concepts one by one. We'll be even having a look onto the outputs that will come after a specific operation, and all of those we'll be having a look onto. So that's all, so that all the concepts will be clear to you all. Let me introduce myself a bit if you have had missed that. So hey guys, myself Shalu Anand. I am a computer science student and pursuing my degree from one of the well-known University of Haryana. Rest, I did my Python learning and internship from IIT Bombay, which was of around 3 months, and that was being done in like 2020. With which, after that wholesome internship, I started mentoring in this field only, and I'm mentoring since last 1.5 years with almost like 200 successful tech events I have had completed till date. Like it's more than 200, of course. So I done agendas that we'll be covering like wholesomely. It's like thoda quick hai, matlab, not every topic is being mentioned over here, but the major topics are being mentioned over here. So don't, judge so fast, or don't think that we'll not be doing that or not. We'll be covering everything. It's my assurity because this time I am like full in mood to complete all the topics in 5 days because we have time. 5 hours are good to go for Python. Nothing more, nothing less. It's like perfect. So we'll be covering in our complete series of Python. So today's agendas are what is Python, why we should learn Python, installation, IDE, installing IDEs, and agendas for the whole series. Like, just a second, guys. So basic data structures, what are tuple, what are list, what are set, what are dictionary, because these are the data structures that one must go through. Right now, I'm just reciting the names. We will have a look onto them one by one. We'll be covering everything about them. Agendas for the whole series, flow control statement, implementation of those, because like the star is there. Why that star is there is we are engineers. We are somebody who will be building the tomorrow, the tech for tomorrow. So we should be aware that if we are knowing a specified knowledge, then we should be aware that how are we going to implement that specified knowledge in our daily life. We should search for some like stuffs like that. We should always see that what technology is being used behind this specified thing that we are using. How can we, go towards betterment? How can we reach towards betterment? How can we implement whatsoever we are learning into our real life? After which we'll be having a look onto object-oriented programming. This is something which is considered to be called as the advancement of Python. Python is an object-oriented language. It works for object-oriented programming most of the time. Inheritance and implementing them. Everyone is aware about what is inheritance, what are classes, what are functions, how should we define function. All the topics will be covered under this topic. Then after which we'll be having a look onto the libraries, NumPy, Pandas, Seaborn, Matplotlib. These are the libraries which we'll be having a look onto. So let's begin. Let's begin with doing everything in Okay. So what is Python and why one should go for Python? Why am I answering this question at the very beginning is just because I want you all to have a clearer version of whatsoever you are learning after this specified learning process, to which next step you can just put your legs into. So what will be your next step needs to be very clear. Everyone has a goal. We are learning a language. We should be clear with the goal, after which, once we are done with learning the specified language, we should be aware like अब next क्या करना है, what, like where we can go next. एक चीज सीख के वहीं एग्जिट करना is not the solution, but learning it in a better manner to implement it, to make it our career, or as a career option we can go ahead with. So that's why this question needs to be answered. So let's just have a look onto, firstly, why and who all are using Python right now. Chrome, Spotify, Facebook, Netflix. These are some of the examples. There are a lot other big, huge stardom companies, amazing companies who are running on Python, whose basics are on Python. So people say that Java seekh li, so you will get a job. JavaScript seekh li, you will get a job. See, every language is important. You can't judge a language. You can't simply judge any language without knowing the practicality and needs of that specified language in our today's market. If I'm saying market, I am talking about the industries that are running right now. So these are the specified and very famous companies which almost everyone must be using or having in their phones. So these do use Python for their betterment and for their better processing. Okay. Why one should choose Python over other languages? This is something which needs to be like, you all should be aware about this, and I know that every one of you must be aware about this. It's simplicity. Python is considered to be called as a English language of, programming. It is just like English. It is very simple. It doesn't have a very hard syntax or so like C or any other language. It is very simple. It's like English language if we'll say that it is an English language in a form of a programming language. Extensibility, community, and resources. These are something which is like, if you are into a specified field and you don't have a people to guide, you might face like a lot of pressure onto yourself that how can we go onto that specified stuff. We aren't aware about what will be the next step. There is no roadmap, there is no resources, there is no guidance. But for Python, you will see a lot of communities are running, a lot of resources are present. Multi-purpose. Python is not at all, specified to a specific domain or field. If I'm saying domain and field, it means a Python person can be a data scientist, can be a data analyst, can be a data engineer, can be a web developer, can be a game developer, and all of those. So there are multiple choices that are available if you want to go into Python and if you want to have a career through your Python language. So you have a lot of career options. You can go into any of the careers of your choice. In demand, if I'm saying in demand, so right now currently with like abhi ka jo data hai, that is the data of 2020 and 2021. So right now Python is at the top 3 languages popularity में देख ले, ये use में देख ले. So it is at the top 3. Like sometimes it was at second, sometimes it was as first. Right now I guess it's at first. So it is in demand. And if I am saying in demand, so don't just think that only Python is in demand. Every language is in demand, but it is, it depends on to the work in which we basically want to go into. Okay. So it is in demand. Talking about our first stuff, that is the installation of Python, which is very important because without knowing on what platform we'll have to work on, we can't go further. So for installation of Python, we basically prefer to go on to the originality of Python. That is why you can simply go on to this python.org hash downloads, and you can just click onto this specified, just search this link and you will you will get yourself onto this specified interface. Once you will reach here, you will see. So I am right now, my mouse is, I hope it's visible. So download the latest version for Windows. My laptop is Windows. If somebody's is Mac, somebody's Linux, somebody's Unix, or any other operating system, you can simply go on to choosing your operating system, and you should click on download. The latest version will be here, and right now I guess it's 3.11 point something. So when I downloaded, it was 3.8.2. So you can simply go on to downloading the latest version. Why I am saying and asking you all to download the latest version is just because every time a new upgradation is done to that specified latest version. So with every upgradation, there is new functionalities that are being added into the application. So with that specified version, you will be getting more newer functionalities. Installing Pycharm. Now, what is Pycharm? So Pycharm, I'll let you all know that too in brief, but a quick introduction de deti hu. So Pycharm is an IDE, your integrated development environment. So in this, we basically can code. It is something which supports a lot of functionalities that are not present at our default Python. So to download this in Pycharm, we simply have to go on to jetbrains.com/Pycharm. So there you will get a interface sort of this, where you can see a Pycharm is being written at the middle of your screen. And there at the very right hand side, uppermost side, you can see the download option. By clicking on the download option, you will see an interface sort of this. So there are two options that are being given to you all. First is your professional version, and second is your community version. So professional version is one of the paid version, which is like not at all needed right now. If you are a beginner, or even if you are an intermediate, you need not to go on to downloading a professional version. Professional versions basically are being preferred for projects and for office work. So if you are at a learning phase, or if you are at trying phase, you can simply go ahead by downloading the community version, which is an open source and free and available to everyone. So click onto your download option. Here also you get an operating system ka option, which is your Windows, Mac, and Linux. So you can see whatsoever operating system you have, click onto that specified operating system, go on to the community part and download the community part. But if you want to explore the professional part too, so you will get a week like a week free trial. You can go ahead by trying that, but I'll ask you all to simply download the community version only, because that much is needed for you all right now. There is no as such need of downloading the professional version right now. So don't explore too much. Jitna is needed, do that only. So thank you for downloading. Once you will download, you will get an interface sort of this. You will have to agree to all the documentation that they are asking. Enter your email to receive your tips and tricks. If you want to, you can go ahead. This is not needed. So just go ahead and simply download it. The next IDE is, right now I am just telling you all the IDEs, after which I'll tell you on which we'll be working on. Anaconda is also the IDE on which we can code the Python programming stuff. So for downloading that, we simply have to go on to anaconda.com, which will get us onto this interface. Once we'll get onto this interface, there also you will get an option of download. Why Anaconda? Anaconda is something which is being preferred over all the IDEs because it has most of the packages pre-installed in it. Like the libraries which I have had told you about at the very beginning that we'll be covering in our sessions, that was NumPy, SkyPy, Pandas, and all of those are pre-installed in this. So if we want to, if we don't want a lot of mess to happen in between of the coding, so we can simply go on to Anaconda. It has almost 7,500 plus Panda and data science packages. It is very great if you are thinking of going towards data engineering, or thinking of being a data scientist or data analyst or any of the data person, even a big data query person. So you can go ahead by simply downloading Anaconda without looking here and there. You can simply be, 1,000% assured about this, and you can simply download this. So download this. You will even get an option of for your I'll say Windows, MacBook, and your Linux. So you'll get all the options, so you can download according to the operating system that you have. Now, once you will download it, so this sort of interface will come. So here I have it opened the Jupyter notebook. Once you will download your Anaconda, you will get an option of Jupyter notebook. That symbol is being made over here. So once you will get a Jupyter notebook, from here you have, so this is the wholesome procedure to start a new project. Okay. So once you will click on, once it is downloaded, firstly, you have to download it. Secondly, you will have to open it. Thirdly, you will get an interface out of this. Once you will get an interface out of this, so click onto the new option that is present at the right hand side uppermost corner. So there you will have to click on Python 3. Once you will click on Python 3, an interface out of this will come. So we need to understand this environment, because right now we are going to do and learn everything on this environment, on this sheet, or on this shell that is present. It is called a shell. Now I'll tell you everything about this wholesome space that you can see in the screen. Right. So this is the space on which we will be coding on. This is a Jupyter notebook. Our project is, our coding will be done over here. We'll be doing majority of our coding here only. So the first option that you can see is Untitled one. By clicking on this specified option, you can get an option to rename your file. We are renaming the file. I am writing it as Python tutorial. I have it written Python tutorial, and now I'll click on rename. Once I'll click on rename, you can see that it got changed into from Untitled 1 to Python tutorial. Right? So this is how we file our name. Now the filing is being done. Now we have to just have a look onto all the options that are present for us and for making our project easier. So we'll go one by one to all of the options. I am telling everything in in detail, because you will see the worth of all the details that you are learning. So file option is there, edit option is there, view is there, insert is there, cell is there, kernel is there, widget is there, and help is there. So first option is your file. If you want to create a new notebook, you can go ahead by creating a new notebook. If you want to open a specified Python project that was pre-coded, and if you want to export it in your Jupyter notebook, so you can go ahead by clicking on open. Once you will go on to open, you will get an option of the files that are present in your PC, and you can select your specified file from that place. Okay, make a copy of the file, save as. If you want to convert your .py extension to any other extension, you can click on save as, and you will get the extension option. Renaming the file, save and checkpoint, revert to checkpoint, print preview, download as. Download as is very important, because in this you can download your code in whatsoever format you want to. But if you are simply clicking on save as and you are going ahead with the default options, so your notebook, your coding will get saved in the form of a notebook, because we are working in Jupyter notebook. So it will get saved in our PC with the extension of .ipynb, that is I Python notebook. Okay, after which the second option is edit. So in this we get the access of editing. Whatsoever we have had written, we can edit with the help of this edit option. There are cut shells, shells, delete shells, split shell, merge cell below, move cell up, move cell down. So these all the options will be used in the upcoming time. अभी ये चीज समझ नहीं आएंगी, but एक आइडिया नाम से पता चल जाता है that if we want to cut a specified cell, that we can go ahead by clicking on cut cell. If we want to copy a specified cell, we can go ahead by copying that specified cell. If we want to delete it, we can delete it. Paste cell above if we want to paste. So this the rectangle block that you can see behind this option is the cell. So we will be coding in the cells only. We will be coding, we'll be writing everything in cells that are present in our Jupyter notebook. So all the editing and the options that are present for the editing of the cells are basically for them only. So all the editing are being done for that only. Okay. So edit options will be done on these cells. We can cut, we can copy, we can delete. we can split the cells. If we are coding almost, around 100 codes or 100 lines of codes in a single cell, and if we want to, split it into different functionalities or small packages, so we can go ahead by splitting the cell. After which merge cell. If there are a lot of cells that are, in different parts, and if we want to merge the cells, so we can go ahead by merging the cell above, merging the cell below, or move cell up, move cell down, edit notebook metadata, find and replace, cut cell attachments, copy cell attachments, and these are the options which are being preferred for your editing portion. Then the insert option gives you the option to insert a cell above your specified cell or the cell below your specified cell. For example, here you can see in, and there is no asset specified number written over there, but it is being selected. And if I'll click on insert cell below, so it will get me a new cell. एक ही cell मिलता है. Please remember this, that there is only single cell that will get added. Again, if you will click onto the same option, then more and more and more number of cells will get added to your Jupyter notebook. Always remember this. Okay, and with insert cell above, you will get a new cell above that specified cell number. Okay, so this is how we basically add cells into our Jupyter notebook. Okay, then comes the kernel. Kernel is one of the most important stuff in Python. Why? Because most of the interpretation that is done. See, here if we are talking about Jupyter notebook, firstly, it is a browser-based coding Jupyter notebook or a browser-based editor where our wholesome coding is done on the browser. जब भी आप जुपिटर नोटबुक खोलेंगे वो आपके क्रोम में एक नए टैब में खुलेगा. हमेशा ये चीज ध्यान रखना. When we are talking about the kernel, so kernel is the server that enables Python programmers to run cells within the Jupyter notebook. जितना भी हमारा compiling का काम होता है, everything is being done with the help of kernel. A notebook kernel is a computational engine that executes the code contained in a notebook document. Whatsoever execution that is going to happen in our specified cell is done with the help of kernel. Always remember, here we are not having a look onto compilers, but everything is done under the supervision of kernel. We can interrupt, we can restart and clear the output. We can restart and run all these shells all together. We can reconnect, we can shut down. So the basic server that is between your execution and your programming, वो जो कनेक्शन बिल्ड हो रहा है, वो जो एग्जीक्यूशन तक का रास्ता दिखाया जा रहा है, वो सब आपकी कर्नल की मदद से हो रहा है. सो कर्नल इज कंसिडर्ड टू बी कॉल्ड एज द ब्रेन and the major worker for your Jupyter notebook. Then comes your help. Help will give you the shortcuts or the reference. Like the official website पे सीधा reference मिलेगा. There are links attached. If you want to know about help section, if you want to know about Markdown, the Python reference, IPython reference, and all of that. So these options are present in your help option. So it is something where you can have a look onto for your further guidance, right? So you will get a lot of options over here. With that, there are some of the keywords shortcut. Keyword shortcuts, which with time you will be able to learn. But these are the shortcuts which one must be aware about. So after the sessions, might be if I'll get the permission to share the presentation, I am happily, and I'll be sharing these PDF with you all, so that for your further reference you can go through them whensoever you will get the free time, or whensoever you will get or have an interest to learn Python again. So you can just go through these documents, you can go through these shortcuts, because with time you will be able to learn. With practice, your hands will get familiar with the keyboard, and with time you will understand all the keywords and the shortcuts that are being used in this Jupyter notebook. The Jupyter notebook has two different keyboard input modes. One is your edit mode, which allows you to type the code and text into a cell and is indicated by a green color border. So every time you can see a shell or a cell, it is something which is called as an edit mode. So whenever we are writing or whenever we are coding something, so it is the edit mode. And when it's command mode, when it's bind the keyboard to notebook level command and is indicated by a gray cell border with a blue left margin. So whenever the execution is going to happen, then it will convert itself into a command mode. These are the shortcuts. So whenever we'll click on ESC, it will allow us to enable all these shortcuts. So one by one, you can go through them. I won't read them all because it will take a lot of time. And shortcuts, you will understand whenever you will get a chance to execute them. So just have a look onto them and understand their meaning, because I have had written everything in front of that, which will make it easier for you all to understand the shortcuts and their uses. So these are the specified shortcuts, but you will get more shortcuts onto Python official web page. Okay, so you can just go onto that specified page. Now, this is how we are going to execute the, you know, our programming, our codes. But उससे पहले एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल दिया है मैंने यहाँ पे. Like in C, we basically go ahead with hello world. Here we are using this is Sparta. So print this is Sparta. Clicking on shift plus enter. Most important shortcut that you have to remember for Jupyter Notebook is shift and enter. Once you will click on shift and enter, your code will get executed. You can even get the execution by clicking on the run option, but why not just preferring the shortcut rather than going the wholesome way? So this is the first program that we have had made. But abhi sa kuch samajh nahi aayega, so let's get on to the coding world. Now let's begin with the coding stuff. The environment is being settled. Now we are aware that we have to download the Jupyter Notebook, the Anaconda, the Python, and we'll be all set to code. So the very first stuff that comes in all the programming languages is, अगर हम English सीखते हैं, we are learning English, we do learn ABCD first. Just like that, if we are learning a specified language, we always learn the building block of that specified language. Here, that small block is considered to be called as variables. Variables in Python. Variables, what are variables? If we have to define variables, so these are the values that can be stored in temporary storage spaces. The data that can be stored in temporary storage spaces are called variables. Whensoever we are in instantating, I'll be using this word a lot. Instantating का मतलब होता है जब भी हम उस जगह पे एक specified value डाल देते हैं. Whenever we are signifying a specified value or assigning a specified value is called as instantating. ठीक है. So variables in Python are the data or the values that can be stored in a temporary storage space. Whenever we are importing or whenever we are storing a chota sa temporary stuff in a specified place, that is considered to be called as a variable. Let's take a practical example. We have a huge cupboard or we have a bookshelf. There we have a specified place for a single book. That is the book which we basically take to our college almost daily. So there I am keeping the diary almost daily. So that is my favorite place for that specified diary. So that is the memory location which is being fixed for that specified diary. So वो उसका address हो गया. But the next day, my sister is coming and she put on her favorite diary onto that specified place. My diary was not there. उसने उस जगह पे दूसरी डायरी डाल दी. तो अब वो एड्रेस किसी और डायरी का हो गया. ये चीजें याद इसीलिए रखनी है. You have to remember these stuff because पहले मेरी डायरी थी वहां पे, बट जब मेरी डायरी नहीं थी वहां पे तो मेरी बहन ने एक डायरी रख दी, which is different. The value got changed, but the address is same. So this means that this is a temporary address for a specified data. इसका मैं realistic example coding में भी बताती हूँ. Firstly, how do I store a data? हम स्टोर कैसे करते हैं हमारे डेटा को? हम स्टोर करते हैं वेरिएबल के फॉर्मेट्स में. We basically store the data in a form of small variables that we create while coding or while programming. ठीक है. Here it's a student document, so it is named as student. The lower portion is having its address, and the value that is being stored in this specified folder is John. So these are the values that are associated with your variables. Let's have a look on into brief. यहाँ पे इस फोल्डर का नाम स्टूडेंट था और उसमें हमने वैल्यू डाली थी जॉन. सो द वेरिएबल इज स्टूडेंट because now the value of student will keep on changing. Here it is John. Again I have it written student is equals to Sam. Again I have it written student is equals to Matt. So the last value which I have had saved is of Matt. तो अब हम जहां जहां स्टूडेंट लिखेंगे वहां वहां हमें मैट प्रिंट आउट होगा. आई नो थोड़ा कंफ्यूजिंग हो रहा है, बट लेट्स हैव अ लुक ऑन टू the code like in our Jupyter notebook, and we'll execute whatsoever I have said. We'll execute it with the help of coding right now. So it's Jupyter notebook. What I have done over here is मेरा सबसे पहला input 2 है, in which I have created a variable named as student, and I have had assigned a value as Sam in it. तो हम एक value को assign ऐसे करते हैं. We simply use equals to sign for assigning a value. I will be telling you why is it in strings, why is it in double quotes, why do we assigning the value. Everything will be told to you all. Abhi itna darna mat, don't run off so soon. So just stay calm. We'll be covering everything. Student, may we are assigning a value as Sam. Then I gave a print command to student. Here, when I wrote student and clicked on shift plus enter, it gave me the value that was being assigned in that specified address. So अब हमें address से सीधा वो हमारा document, हमारा data मिल रहा है, which got printed. Sorry guys. Now again, what I did in my input 4 is I wrote student is equals to Matt. So I am changing the value. Priorly, we have had saved Sam in the student word. Now we are saving Matt in the student word. We are changing the value of a variable. Now again, I gave a print command of student. So it gave me an output 5 as Matt, not as Sam. So this is why it was considered to be called as the temporary location, the temporarily saved data. Because every time whenever we are changing the value and we are assigning a new value, it is getting itself changed into the new value. Okay. Now again the student is Bob. I gave the print command as student and clicked on shift into enter, like shift plus enter. It gave me an output of Bob. Why it gave me an output of Bob? Because now again the variable value got changed. So this is how variable keeps on changing. According to our commands, they'll keep on changing. Every variable is associated with a data type. This is very important. Like here, it needs to be like, you all must be, having a question that why is it in double quotes? Why is it in red color? Why the equals to is in purple color? This is also a fact of Jupyter Notebook, that if there are some words that are predefined in our Jupyter Notebook, that will come in green color. If we are using an operator, that will come in purple color. Every color has its own meaning. So for even that color reference, you can go ahead by having a look onto the Jupyter Notebook official website, because they keep on, updating. So uska reference मैंने यहाँ दे दिया. I am giving you the reference of going onto the official website only. I never recommend people any as such, YouTube channel or any as such courses to buy on. Rather, I'll always tell you to go onto the official websites, because the the companies have had given a lot of resources for students, because students needs to be guided. So please go on to the right reference, go on to the right platforms, rather than searching for some entertainment, go on to some serious stuff. Okay, so every variable is associated with a data type. Here we have had used something that was in our inverted commas. This is something which we call as string. There are four types of data type. I'll let you all know one by one. The first is numerical values. So whensoever we are saying as or calling it as a numerical value, उसका नाम हम पाइथन में रखते हैं इंटीजर डेटा टाइप. डेटा टाइप क्या होता है? जिस तरीके का डेटा वी आर सेविंग, whatsoever form, like in whatsoever format we are saving a data, it is in a specified type. If we are writing in Hindi, it is Hindi. If we are writing in English, it is English in our general language. Same for our programming world. We have defined several data types. So in Python, we basically have four types of data types. The first one is integer. It covers all your numerical values, but do remember, exception is there. In numerical values, we need not to consider the float part, the decimal parts, because whensoever there will be an introduction of a point in that specified number, it will get itself changed into the data type 2, that is integers. So integer is 3.14. Here we can see a decimal point. So this type of data type, or this type of data that we are saving, its type is called as float. Float. Floating data type, like float data type. Then true and false. These are the two words that are being saved in the format of our Boolean data type. Boolean. It is a data type, and in that data type, there are two values that are being saved in that. The first one is true, and the second one is false. Then comes the stuff that we have it saved in our inverted commas. So it is called as string. String data type. Whensoever we are writing anything and it is being covered in your double quotes, so it will be called as string. Example, let's have a look onto the example. A1 is equals to 10. Now we can even write print A1. But even if we'll write the variable name and we'll click on shift plus enter, it will give us the output, and the output will be the value that we have had saved in that specified variable. So A1 was given a value of 10, and we gave a print command to A1, and the output that we have had got is 10. And now we are checking the type of A1. So you can see we got an output of integer, that is int. Int stands for integer. You can see type is in green format. Green format, green color, you can see that there is a color change. It is in green color because type is predefined in Jupyter Notebook. Whenever we are writing type, it is telling the computer, it is telling the kernel that we are talking about data type of the specified variable that we are using. In bracket, we write parameters. पैरामीटर्स मतलब जिस पे काम कर रहे हैं या जिससे हमारा कोई काम हो रहा है, हमें जिस रेंज में जाना है, वो सब अभी हम हमारे ब्रैकेट्स में कवर करेंगे. एक एक करके आपको हर एक ब्रैकेट का मतलब भी समझ आएगा कि सर्कल ऑफ ब्रैकेट कब यूज होता है, स्क्वायर ब्रैकेट कब यूज होता है, रेंज क्या होता है, इंडेक्सिंग क्या होती है. we'll have a look on to all of that right now. So A1 is equals to 10. हमने इसका type देख लिया. Now again I am changing the value of the same variable. I am instantiating a value of 3.14. And now I gave a command to print A1. It gave me the output as 3.14. Now I want to check that what type of data, what type of data is it? So I simply wrote type, and in brackets I wrote A1. It gave me an output of float, because this is a float data type. This is having a decimal in it, so we'll be considering and calling it as a float data type. Then A1 is equals to true. Again, I'm playing around a single variable because I want you all to understand that what temporary means. कि जब तक हम उसमें कोई नई वैल्यू नहीं डालते, तब तक ही वो वैल्यू उसमें सेव्ड है. जैसे ही हमने कोई नई वैल्यू उसमें डाल दी, वैसे ही उसका सब कुछ चेंज हो जाता है. So it gets itself changed. A1 is equals to true. Now giving a print command of A1, we can see true. Now checking the type of A1, we got the output as bool. So bool stands for boolean. Boolean is a data type which has two of its type, that is true and false. Then our first hello world program is being welcomed over here. So A1 is equals to, in our inverted commas, it is written as hello world. स्ट्रिंग का कलर हमेशा रेड होगा, ये हमेशा याद रखना आप सब. सो गिविंग अ प्रिंट कमांड टू A1, it gave us hello world because it was being instantiated, it was being saved in our variable A1. After which we want to check the type of A1 and we got an output of str. So str stands for string. These are the shortcuts which you will get familiar with as soon as you will be using it. There is one more data type which is being used but not taught at a lot of places. बताई नहीं जाती है क्योंकि ज्यादा यूज नहीं होती है, कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी में यूज होगी ये कुछ नया है जो वैसे तो you all are kind of new, but this is something which is not being told or taught at a lot of places. So A1 is equals to 3.3 plus 4G. Complex numbers, I hope every one of you do remember, we have done that in our 11th and 12th, even in our first year of engineering. हमने complex numbers थोड़े बहुत तो पढ़े हैं. तो complex numbers में we used to have a real and an imaginary part. Imaginary part के साथ हमेशा एक iota होता था. That used to be an I. But in our programming world, we don't use iota, we don't use I, whereas we use J for that iota stuff. For complexity, complex numbers के लिए, we have had defined, like in Python, it is being defined as iota is equals to J. हम iota की value J में डालते हैं because whatsoever is there with J is considered to be called as an imaginary part, and the real part is the real part. So here we have an instantiated A1 with the value of 3 plus 4J, given a print command of A1, and we got an output of 3 plus 4J. We have to check the type because it is something new for all of us. So I wrote type A1 and we got the output of complex, like it is a complex data type. The data that is being saved in the variable of A1 right now is called as complex data type because it has two parts. One is imaginary and one is real. Okay, so that was all about our data types. Now further on to arithmetic operations. Arithmetic operations, like the operators that we use, not just arithmetic operations, logical operators and relational operators too. Arithmetic, basically we go on to plus, minus, division, multiplication, the mathematical operations that we are doing since our first standard. जो हम बचपन से पढ़ते आ रहे हैं, अब वो भी हमें कंप्यूटर में एग्जीक्यूट करना है तो हमें सीखना तो पड़ेगा क्योंकि हमें पाइथन अभी नहीं आती, हमें सीखनी है. We are at a learning phase. So arithmetic operators are our plus, minus, multiplication, your division, and all of those. All of those. Relational operators, logical operators, let's have a look on to them by and with the help of their examples. So there is one more thing which I apparently skipped is comments. Comments सबने सुना होगा, comments कुछ तो होता है programming में. Basically, students की language में if I'll have to say, then comments are the statements which we basically remove while copying the assignment online, like from online to our registers. We basically delete that hashtag wala part. हम तो देखते भी नहीं उसकी तरफ, right? Guys, I am also a student, so I can relate to all of these, and I'm saying this because obviously I also haven't done so. So hashtags और comments, ये चीजें बहुत important होती हैं. अभी तक वो लगता था कि वो एक मजाक है, वो एक अननीडेड स्टफ है, उसकी जरूरत नहीं है, बट ऐसा नहीं होता. कमेंट्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर योर प्रोफेशन. नो मैटर इफ यू इवन इफ यू आर अ वेब डेवलपर, बैक एंड में हो, फ्रंट एंड में हो, या आप कोई भी इंजीनियर हो, comments are always important in your real life too and in your professional life too, in your coding life too. Comments are being used to help the programmer, whosoever is going through a specified code set, कि किस लाइन में क्या यूज हुआ है, किस वजह से वो यूज हुआ है. The brief description about the statement that we are using to make a specified function or operation work into our coding. So we add some of the guidance, some of the summarized statements. Because see, आज मैं कंपनी में काम कर रही हूं, मैंने एक कोड लिखा, कल मेरी जगह पे कोई और काम कर रहा है और उसे उसी कोड पे काम करना है, तो ही और शी मस्ट नॉट बी अवेयर अबाउट कि इस स्टेटमेंट का मतलब क्या है, क्योंकि वो कोड तो मैंने किया था. To make this confusion clear, like to resolve this wholesome confusion that can be created in a company, the comments were being launched. Comments की यही खासियत है कि वो कभी एग्जीक्यूट नहीं होते, वो सिर्फ आपके लिए होते हैं, आपके रीड करने के लिए होते हैं, सो दैट आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग हो उस स्पेसिफाइड स्टेटमेंट पे, आपको समझ आए कि इस लाइन में ये चीजें यूज क्यों हुई है, क्योंकि वो कमेंट्स में मेंशन्ड होगा. सो कमेंट्स आर द एडिशनल इंफॉर्मेशन दैट one must never ignore, because they give you a clearer version of why that specified functionality is being used in that documentation or in that specified code. In Python, we write comments with the help of hashtag. हैशटैग के आगे हम जो कुछ भी लिखेंगे वो रीड नहीं होगा, वो हमारा कर्नल एग्जीक्यूट नहीं करेगा. इट विल कम इन एन अनदर फॉर्मेट. मैं दिखाती हूँ आपको कैसे. सो हैशटैग अर्थमेटिक ऑपरेटर्स, यू कैन सी इसका फॉन्ट ही अलग है. ये हमने शिफ्ट एंड एंटर क्लिक किया, ये रीड भी नहीं हुआ, ये एग्जीक्यूट भी नहीं हुआ, क्योंकि कर्नल इसे एग्जीक्यूट नहीं करता. हैशटैग के साथ आपको कुछ भी लिखा होगा, इट वोंट एवर गेट एग्जीक्यूटेड. Every comment in Python will be written with hashtag. Hashtag के साथ लिखा होगा और वो कभी execute नहीं होगा. ठीक है. Now arithmetic operators. See, we have had removed the hashtag sign and clicked on shift plus enter. You can see an error is popping out. That is your invalid syntax. एक error आ गया यहाँ पे, which is your invalid syntax, क्योंकि अर्थमेटिक ऑपरेटर्स कोई ना तो यहाँ भी वेरिएबल हुआ है, ना हमने यूज किया है. एक ब्लैक से फॉन्ट में आ गया है बिकॉज इट डजंट हैव एनी प्रीडिफाइंड मीनिंग इन जुपिटर नोटबुक, और यहाँ पे भी हमने अभी इसमें कोई वैल्यू डाली नहीं है. सो इट इज एन इनवैलिड सिंटेक्स. सो राइट नाउ आई हैव इट अगेन added hashtag in front of arithmetic operators, clicked on shift plus enter. You can see without any error it got me onto the next shell. So now hashtag plus माइनस डिवीजन एंड मल्टीप्लीकेशन. मल्टीप्लीकेशन का साइन एक स्टार होता है. आई होप ये तो सबको पता होगा. ठीक है. सो let's have a look on to how it exactly works. तो a is a variable 1, b is variable 2. You can see मैंने दोनों में वैल्यूज डाल दी हैं. a is equals to 10, b is equals to 20. a comma b print command दिया and it gave me 10 and 20 in the same format in which मैंने मेरी जुपिटर नोटबुक को कमांड दिया है. जिस सीक्वेंस में दिया है उसी सीक्वेंस में मुझे मेरा आउटपुट मिलेगा. सो इट इज 10 and 20. After the operator being performed out, a plus b gave me 30, a minus b gave me minus 10, a multiplication b gave me 200, and a division b gave me the division answer, that is 0.5. Moving on to the relational operators. Relational operators जो हमें relationship, जो भी एक डेटा दूसरे डेटा के साथ शेयर कर रहा है वो क्लैरिफाई करेंगे. रिलेशन हम नाम पे भी जा सकते हैं. The relations that are between the variables or the stuff that we have created onto our Jupyter notebook. So a is equals to 50, b is equals to 100. Is a greater than b? I don't think so. So that's why it gave us an outcome of false. A is smaller than b. It is true. So that's why it gave us an output of true. A double equals to b. Double equals to means we are equating. हम यहाँ equalize कर रहे हैं. We are equating. So ये दोनों बराबर नहीं है. So that's why it gave us an outcome of false. A not equals to b. Exclamation and equals to means it stands for not equals to. So it is a true value. So yeah, 50 is not equal to 100. So it gave us an outcome of true. Now logical operators, that is and or. The first one is and the second one is or. हम इसका मतलब इंग्लिश से भी सीख सकते हैं. एंड का मतलब होता है दोनों, और का मतलब होता है कोई एक, any one we can go ahead with. So A is equals to true, B is equals to false. If there is even a single false with and, we will be going ahead with false. एक सही है एक गलत है, लेकिन वो है एक टीम, तो टोटल टीम तो हुई गलत ना. सो वी ऑलवेज हैव टू थिंक इन दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ अ मैनर. ठीक है. इफ both of them are true, then only the value will come out to be true for and. But in or, even if a single value is true, it will give us an outcome of true. But if both the values are false, it will give us an outcome of false only. So do remember, for AND operation, for AND, even if a single value is false, your wholesome value will come out to be a false value. But अगर आप और यूज कर रहे हैं और अगर वहां कोई भी वैल्यू, सिंगल वैल्यू भी ट्रू है, तो आपकी सारी वैल्यूज ट्रू आएंगी. ठीक है. So this was all about your logical operators. Then we'll just have a quick look onto the tokens that we can use and we'll be using in Python. So smallest meaningful components in Python. There are some of the predefined words, predefined alphabets, predefined what I can say, signs that are, you know, पहले से ही चलती आई हैं, हम भी उन्हें यूज कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि जब पाइथन का क्रिएशन हुआ था या उसके बाद जितनी अपग्रेडेशन हुए, तब तक उनमें कुछ कुछ मतलब ऐड होते रहे. मतलब इट वाज ऑलवेज बीइंग डिफाइंड, इट वाज बीइंग प्री डिफाइंड टू ऑल ऑफ अस. We haven't, you know, discovered them, but yeah, somebody have it discovered and we are using that discovery for making our work easier. So these are the smallest meaningful components in a program. The first word is keyword, second is identifiers, the third is literals, and the fourth is operators. The keywords, so these are the reserved keywords or the reserved words. The reserved words, it means we can't use them to name as like name in the form of our classes or variables. हम कभी भी कुछ भी डिफाइन कर रहे हैं, तो ये कुछ ऐसे वर्ड्स हैं जिन, क्योंकि इनमें हम हमेशा इनको जब भी हम हमारे जुपिटर नोटबुक में लिखेंगे, तो दे come in green color. False, slightly, is return, none, continue. All these words have some meaning in Jupyter Notebook. So they will come in green color. Okay, so these are the predefined words. हम कभी ये क्लासेस का नाम देने में यूज नहीं कर सकते, किसी फंक्शन का नाम नहीं दे सकते, किसी वेरिएबल के नाम के तरीके से यूज नहीं कर सकते. These have predefined meaning. जैसे कि हम बचपन से सुनते हैं सम सम सम, तो हम सम का मतलब सम सुनते ही वी नो यहाँ एडिशन होना है, तो वैसे ही हमारे कर्नल में इनकी मतलब लाइक दीज words have some predefined meaning, predefined functionality which are being saved for them, so we can't use them for any other purpose. Like for example, def, you can see it's in green, it is used for defining a function. True, it is a boolean value, it too has a value. Class, it is also predefined because it is used when we are naming a class. True is equals to a. हमने यहाँ वेरिएबल क्रिएट किया है जो कि जिसका नाम है ट्रू, उसमें मैं एक वैल्यू पुट कर रही हूँ जो कि है a. So you can see a syntax error which is can't assign to a keyword because green color में जो हमारे पास आ रहा है वो एक कीवर्ड है, हम उसमें कोई वैल्यू नहीं डाल सकते. The Python identifiers. Identifiers are the name used for variables, functions or objects जो हम create करते हैं. The names that we give to a specified variable, function or object are considered to be called as Python identifiers. These are the rules for creating an identifier. एक और पॉइंट है, पाइथन इज अ केस सेंसिटिव लैंग्वेज. आप अगर मेरा नाम एक कैपिटल एस के साथ लिखेंगे तो उसका मतलब कुछ और होगा, स्मॉल एस के साथ लिखेंगे तो उसका मतलब कुछ और होगा अगर हमने उसे पाइथन में सेव किया है तो. सो ऑलवेज डू रिमेंबर एवरीथिंग हैज इट्स ओन मीनिंग, and in Python it's a very delicate language, it's very beautiful language. So in Python everything has its own meaning. For example, यहाँ student with small s has a value of Martha, capital S has a value of Julie. Small s को print कराया तो Martha आया, capital S को print कराया तो Julie आया. So you can see it's the same word, but with different cases. So values change हो जाती हैं. Literals जिनमें हम हमारी वैल्यूज डालते हैं, कुछ ऐसे कांस्टेंट होते हैं हमारे पाइथन में. प्लीज कंफ्यूज मत होना रिजर्व्ड वर्ड्स और लिटरल्स में, बिकॉज लिटरल्स आर द कांस्टेंट इन पाइथन. A is equals to 3.14. 3.14 is also a constant and it is predefined in Python, so that's why it is in green color. So guys, that was all for our today's session. We haven't covered a lot. If there is any doubt